Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So here in my hand right now I have the flanging tool that I was talking about that I ordered and is waiting at customs. Finally arrived in the mail. The tracker was actually wrong, so it didn't actually take that long for it to arrive. It took a few more days than it needed to, but you know, it's finally here. This thing's pretty cool. So one end of it right here, this end actually helps punch holes where you could do spot welding and all that stuff, so kind of saves you the time from drilling. You twist this head around, and that's the flanging bit. So, as you can see, it actually does the flanging from this side. I'm just going to test it out on some spare metal later, and before I use it on my actual rockers. But we continue with the rust repair today. So let's get to work. So I do have some spare metal here that I cut out that probably won't be using. So I'm going to try and flange this. So basically you put it in to this tool here, and then you clamp it down where you want to flange, which is right at that line. That's the seam. And then you squeeze. I mean, from the looks of it, it did flange it. So the metal you could kind of tuck under, but it doesn't really go in that deep. So with this flanged out, I got another piece of metal and you kind of lay it on top to see how close it is. It actually ends up pretty close, but you'll still need to dent it in quite a bit, a little bit, so that it has an indent for the body filler. I mean, it's still okay, but as you can see, that's kind of what it looks like. So I tested out the hole punching bit as well. Seems to work okay. Now we can start working on the car. I'm cleaning up some of the metal edges so that the replacement rockers can fit flush and be butt welded. Oh yeah, that fits nicely. Alright, next I'm going to be dotting the lines on here. It needs to be about an inch higher than it needs to be. So, just so that this is like the area where I'm going to seam it, right? So, just going to put a dotted line. It's a little difficult to trim the shears, so I'm gonna just get I guess my Dremel tool or my angle grinder and see if I could cut it with that. It's probably gonna be much faster. Alright guys, so I've cut it out, as you can see, through that line area. So probably gonna trim this part down anyways, because this is overlapping, and we don't want that on the edge here. This part will probably be butt welded, but I could start seaming this. I've cut a slot onto the bottom here so that we could actually butt weld this bottom piece in. And I'm gonna try out this seaming tool, and hopefully it works out. So far it's treating the seam, as you can see, and that will tuck in nicely. So just gonna finish this off. I'll show you guys how it looks like after I finish seaming it. Alright guys, so after a lot of seaming and kind of fitting and refitting, I managed to get it on lined up pretty good. It's okay that it's dented. We're going to be body filling this area anyways, so I'll shape it with the body filler, but for the most part this stuff is completely lined up. I mean, it could come out a little bit more in this corner here, but it's pretty lined up. Looks pretty good so far. This actually took quite a bit of work. Over here it's completely shaved so that it could be butt welded directly into this line here. So for the most part, this looks pretty good. Let's get some of the pieces painted with the weld through primer. Gotta clean off some of this undercoating so that we have some clean metal to weld on. And as well, gotta clean off some of the weld through primer in the areas I'll be welding. Using my rotary tool with a wire wheel to ensure the metal surface is clean. So I noticed that the back piece didn't reach far down enough to the jack point, so I had to lap weld a piece of sheet metal to extend it. Time to grind down those welds. Now I'm going to wipe everything down with isopropyl alcohol before I spray everything with weld through primer. All masked up and ready to spray the weld through primer, and make sure to tape up any bare metal that I'll be welding on so I don't have to scrape off the primer before welding. Check it out guys, I know it looks a little ugly with the lap welded piece, but no one's going to see this and it adds a little bit extra reinforcement to the jack point. Finally, it's time to weld the bottom of the inner wheel arch. Yeah, some parts had crazy burn through because the rusted metal was so thin. Time to work on that back piece now. There it is, guys. I completed the inner wheel arch. I also painted the exposed metal and welds with a couple coats of rust paint. I didn't have any epoxy primer. While I still have access to the inner wheel arch, I decided to coat the inside with some fluid film. This should further protect it from corrosion. It's time to clean up the edges for where the rocker panel is going to be lap welded. All cleaned up and ready for welding. Finally, it's time to weld in that new rocker panel. I'm using a center punch to make some markings for where I'm going to drill holes for the spot welds. For some reason, the footage of me drilling the holes is missing. All drilled out and back to welding. Now this is what it looks like after it's all welded into place. Not too bad being my first time doing body panels. Time to clean off all that slag and spatter with a more heavy duty wire wheel. And also time to grind down those welds. Here's the finished product. I still need to put body filler on and shape it and blend it to the car, but that's a project for another day. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, show me some love and click that like button and the subscribe button. As always guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.